Okay, any questions or issues that you're dealing with that um, you want to ask? Kylie, you look like you're got something to say. No, okay, great. All right. Anybody else? We already talked to Yvonne about, did you work out your co-brokerage thing? You're muted, Yvonne. It's not a Zoom meeting.
Sorry, right.
Not a Zoom
Yeah,
meeting. Someone tries to talk and without being muted, you know?
right. Anyway, yeah, I'm working on the documents right now. So you do the broker one and then you do the additional agent, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good,
Yep.
good, good.
Sounds
Right.
good.
Good. Yeah, Yvonne's working in a with a situation where she's going to have a co-broker with a different brokerage, co-agent with a different brokerage. So there's two forms to do between the brokerages and then additional agent form. So good. And that comes up fairly frequently. We see that you know, I don't know, 5% of the time, maybe.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, let's see. Some things that we were dealing with this week. One is a backup offer addendum. So we got where is my okay? I lost my um, I lost my link with CAR. Hold on just a second. So the thing that came up was our agent was in a backup offer, and we don't use those all that frequently, but we do see them from time to time. And then the buyer decided they wanted um, to buy a different home. So we needed to tell the other side that you know, we are going to terminate the backup position. And this is all allowed for under the backup offer addendum. So let me just pull that up. Okay. Are you seeing the backup offer addendum at this point? Yes, okay. So down here in the language of cancellation rights under 2, first of all, you use this form when you know you're writing an offer and you're going to be in backup position. That is, you know, maybe you're writing an offer on a property that's already contingent. Um, and so you're going to be a backup offer. So you would use attach this addendum from the outset. Sometimes you're competing, you're in multiple offers. The seller chooses another offer and they suggest that the seller would entertain your offer as a backup offer. So then you would prepare this in addition to the RPA you already wrote. So that's what happened. And we were, our client was in the backup position. This was signed by both the buyer and the seller. So now the buyer decides they want to buy another house, so they want to cancel this. So the cancellation provisions are a 2A for buyer. Buyer may cancel the agreement in writing at any time before seller provides buyer copies of written cancellations and releases prior transaction. So that had not happened yet. The seller had not yet kind of removed, canceled the first deal. So this one would be a first up. So the buyer, it says all you have to do is cancel in writing. And the agent asks, well, how do I cancel in writing? And the answer is a pretty simple answer. You send an email. That's in writing. There's no form. You just send an email, we hereby cancel our backup offer dated such and such, and reference the date on the property and so forth. And just make sure that, I mean, that can come from you as an agent, but make sure that you have in your file some written documentation that your buyer asked you to do that. So you just don't want to do it because they told you over the phone. Say, okay, well, let me confirm, you might can send them a confirming email or something like that, but just have something in an email that shows that the buyer asked you to cancel their backup position. And then you can just do it via email to the seller's agent. Yvonne was talking about yesterday that she's taken an offer or a listing on a stock cooperative. We see these very rarely up in our area. They're more frequently done in urban areas like San Francisco and New York City. But there's one in Marin City, and Yvonne's taken the listing. And there are particular forms related to stock cooperative. The prelim is different and so forth. So if you get into something like that, and there's any confusion, just let us know and we'll sort it out. Our attorneys actually have a lot of experience with stock cooperatives and were very helpful telling us, looking at the prelim and so forth. We had a situation come up this week where the title company, at the time of recording of a transaction over a year ago, they put the wrong tax ID number on it. And so at the recorder's office, the property never got transferred properly. And the seller became aware of it a year down the road. So we had to go back to the title company. And obviously the title company had to correct this through the various, recording another deed and so forth and so on. And that was all at the title company's expense because they made the mistake. And once in a while, that happens. We had a situation come up this week that dealt with a assignment. So let's look at the RPA. Okay. So can we see the RPA? Someone say yes, please. All right, I'm not hearing you. So give me a thumbs up. Yes, Sharon, you can see the RPA?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you. All right. So as you know, this packet starts with a disclosure, fair housing, all this good stuff, possible representation of more than one buyer or seller. Had a new agent ask about this form, and we've covered it a few times, but basically this is saying that there may be in a buyer, if we're representing a buyer, one of our agents in our brokerage might be representing a different buyer. And the agents may not even know that they're competing on the property with different buyers. Same can be true of sellers, that we're representing a seller and we have another listing in the office that's competing with that seller's listing. So this disclosure and consent is just telling the buyers and sellers that there may be competing buyers, there may be competing listings, and we're making them aware of that and they're consenting to it. That's the simple explanation of that form. Okay, so this is the RPA, and down here under assignment, way at the end here. Let's see, here we are. The buyer shall have the right to assign, as paragraph 23 on page 12 of the RPA. The buyer shall have the right to assign all of the buyer's interests in this agreement to the buyer's own trust or to any wholly owned entity of the buyer that is in existence at the time of such assignment. Otherwise, the buyer shall not assign this without the seller's approval. So in the case we had, the buyer was going to assign the contract to a wholly owned corporation that the buyer owned. So that would fall under this description of a wholly owned entity of the buyer. So even though they're doing that, they still need a form. They're permitted to do that, but they need the assignment form completed. So they would use this assignment form. Just taking a while to load. And they would use this as a total assignment. So this is they would check this box here, total assignment. The new buyer replaces all original buyers, and then they would name the assignor in the appropriate place, the corporation. So that's the form you use if you're doing an assignment. You could have a partial assignment where you're adding a buyer to the existing buyers. This happened to be a total assignment. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. We had a sharp offer this week. And that's a term we don't hear very often. We discourage our agents from writing sharp offers. But a sharp offer, by definition, is an offer that says that the buyer will pay some percentage or some dollar amount higher than the highest competing offer. So it's used in a multiple offer situation where a buyer wants to be clever and say, I'll pay, 10% more than the next highest, offer. We don't like to use them because, or we don't like to write them because they it's creative writing. We don't like creative writing all that much. There's no particular form to write a sharp offer for. And people can get angry at those kinds of things if they're handled improperly. But anyway, we got one in a multiple offer where we were representing the seller. So the seller wanted to take the highest offer, which was the sharp offer. And the buyer's agent said, okay, we understand. We're gonna. We told the buyer's agent, okay, it's the highest offer is $1 million. You agreed to pay 10% over that, so you're going to pay $1.1 million. And the buyer's agent said, okay, well, send us a copy of the offer that came in at $1 million. So the question was, well, what do we send them? Do we send them the entire offer with the names of the parties and the names of the agents and all that? And the answer was no. We send them a redacted copy, which means we black out the names on the contract. And then we send it over and it just has the financial details. So that's how you handled that. That's how we handled that request. Okay. Any questions on that? We had something come up this week. where we needed a commission agreement. And our agent said her client and the neighbor had agreed with each other to transfer the lots of it. There were 3 lots. Mary will recognize this, it's her deal. And they agreed upon a price. Our client wanted us to write it up and was willing to pay us a commission. So the agent was wondering, do I write up a listing agreement? And then under the listing agreement, put in a provision that it's just applies to that one buyer or what? And we don't really need to do that. What we do need is a commission agreement form, which is the CA form. And it says that it names the principal and us as the broker, and it states the amount to be paid of the transaction price and the address of the property. And then it contains some provisions about, you're acknowledging where I'm putting this in the MLS, and there's advantages to do that. And you're saying you don't want to because you want to write and sell this to your neighbor, and so forth and so on. And then the principal signs it. So that's what we use in that case. And we get it signed by the principal, and then we prepare the RPA. And or in this case, it was a vacant land purchase agreement, and the deal goes forward. If for some reason this didn't go forward, and the seller still wanted to sell it, then we could write up a listing agreement and carry on as normal. Okay. Any questions about how to use or when to use that form? Okay, another one came up actually similar. Go back to sharing here for a second. And it was a tenant a tenant commission agreement. So I'm not even sure I have this up here. Let's see if I have this up. No. All right, I'm gonna go over here now. Look for forms. Tenant. Okay, I'm not finding it there. Let me stop for a minute because I know I have that on the desktop. So let me close this down. Muted myself. I'll tell you about it. We were representing a landlord on a lease. The lease was listed in the MLS, but there was no compensation to the cooperating agent. So a tenant came in and worked with our agent, who was the listing agent, and then indicated they had a agent themselves. So that agent got involved, and they understood that there was no compensation from the broker or from the owner to a cooperating broker, so they'd have to look to the tenant for payment, which they did, and the tenant agreed to pay them. And there was a form, it's called it's in a commission agreement, and it can be used for either the landlord to pay the commission or the tenant to pay the commission. And what this agent did was type it up that the tenant would pay, but they wanted our landlord to sign it along with the tenant. And there was really no need for our landlord to sign it, our client to sign it, because they weren't involved in this. This was strictly an agreement between the tenant and her broker. So that's what we told them. I said, it's all well and good to put in the description of who the landlord is, but there's no reason for the landlord to sign that agreement. And so that's kind of how we went and proceeded with that particular circumstance.
Would
Last
that
thing,
be,
yeah.
is that a commission
Yeah,
agreement?
it was yes.
But
I'll
a
find it.
commission for a tenant?
Yes, I'll find it for you here before we finish.
Okay.
I'll go back to it. But I want to show you a couple other things that were related. We've been talking about the NAR settlement and its impact on us, and we've had several conversations with different offices that, for now we carry on business as usual. That we'll be seeing probably coming down the road, new forms and new procedures, as these rules that NAR has proposed and agree, that if they get approved and they get implemented, then we will, have different practices. But for now, we continue as we've agreed, as we have done. So if we have a listing agreement and the offer of compensation is there, that the seller is going to pay a cooperating broker, then we just put it in the CSO block in the listing agreement or in the MLS as usual. We use the same forms. We want to make sure that we're using the disclosure forms with the buyer and seller advisory regarding compensation. But I did watch an interesting webinar yesterday from a marketing group called 1000 Watt. And they are a real estate marketing group. They've been the head of it, Brian Barrio, I think his name is, has been in the business 30 years or so, following the industry, and has a very close connection with the industry and understands real estate marketing. So they did some focus groups, as the marketing people do sometimes. And so this is kind of some of the results of this focus group. And let me find the first one. Well, the first question they asked was, did they, that was of people who had closed the transaction, buyers who had closed the transaction. And they asked if they thought using their agent, their buyer's agent, was worth the fee that they paid, that was paid to them, the buyer's agent. And 70% said yes, they believed it was worth the fee. So that's a good thing. We have assurance that what we've done is valued and that people think it's worth it. Now, they asked several other questions. So this is one they asked. Did the real estate agent who helped you buy your home, explain up front how they were to get paid? 55% yes, said yes, and 45% no. So that's a problem. Every buyer should know how you, as an agent, buyer's agent, is getting paid. So that's one of the changes that we're going to be going through, and those forms that we're using, those buyer's advisory and that seller advisory that your GC is going to make sure you have in your file, explain to the buyer how we're going to get paid. because there's various ways we could get paid. So that's, you know, that's got to go from 55% to 100% of the buyers know how we got paid. The most valuable thing, this was interesting. Let's see which form you can see here. Okay. Can you see the form that says the most valuable buyer
Yes.
agent services? Okay. So what do you think is the most valuable service that your agent helped you when buying the home provided? 10% was saying finding the home. So, you know, we know that with all the portals for agent, you know, buyers to go out and search for homes, finding the homes isn't, you know, like the most important thing anymore. 11% touring around with the homes. You know, many buyers say, well, I just go to open houses, you know, so they don't need us to go tour homes so much. 17% said evaluating the pros and cons of the homes I was interested in. So that's a substantial thing, you know, evaluating the pros and cons of the homes I'm interested in. So that means we need to know the pros and cons of the homes in our neighborhood or that we're representing. It's another reason why it's difficult for a buyer's agent to go out of their territory, because they may not know the pros and cons of the homes that you're looking at. 9% said recommending other professionals like mortgage providers, insurance providers, etc. So that's a pretty low percentage. 7% said helping me determine what an offer price should be. Buyers, you know, seem pretty confident that they know what they want to pay for a property. You know, they know what they can afford. Here's the big one. It says 33% who thought this was the most valuable service the agent provided. Interpreting inspection and disclosure reports about the properties and noting potential issues. So I don't know that we've ever said, you know, we really need, we've always said we got to read the inspections and then understand them and give our clients our opinions on the inspections and so forth. But we also make sure that they know we aren't experts in this area. But this is a very valuable thing to the consumer. So I think we probably need to work on sharpening our skills when we can and how we can on understanding disclosure reports and inspections. 11% said negotiating with the seller's agent on the price and terms. That kind of corresponds with the fact that they already kind of know what price they want to offer. 2% providing emotional support and encouragement as a sounding board. That's interesting because, you know, we always say, I always say that we're helping our clients through transitions, you know, which means we're kind of playing this, supporting this emotional role. And, but from their point of view, they don't value it very much. So, but I mean, it's still why we do it, you know, it's because we want to be supportive there. Okay, so the last part of this thing, there were two more slides that they had. Here we go. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you react to the following statements? The recent lawsuits in the real estate industry have made me question the value of real estate agents. You might consider that a leading question, because, you know. But anyway, the average was 6.9%. You can see this 7% bar here. Leaning towards strongly agree, and 39% of the answers were strongly 8%, 8 or higher, strongly agree. So that's kind of what we're seeing coming down the pike, is they're going to question our values. So we have to be more skilled and artful, I guess, in expressing our value. And the final slide, was this one.
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't you think that part of that would be how the news has been handling this? I mean, they've been not really talking about details. They're just, now you're going to get it cheaper because
Yeah.
they have to. I mean, so
Yep. That that survey, that 1 to 10 survey there, where that was before this these recent headlines, before NAR made their settlement. Those were just the existence of lawsuits when people knew, well, yeah, people are suing the industry. And the outcomes. It was after the original finding in the Setzer case, which was like $1 billion settlement, which is why, or $1 million award, $1 billion award, which is why NAR offered up a settlement. But yeah, it clearly is part of what the people are hearing. So that leads to this conclusion by this marketing company. This is a positioning and marketing problem and a positioning marketing opportunity. Those with a strong value story will prosper, and those without a strong value story will succumb. So I think we'll see our marketing messages changing somewhat to reinforce the value that we as real estate brokers and agents provide our clients. And they gave a number of examples. I'm going to share them with Haley and so forth. And it may just be that we emphasize our value, our contributing value to the public more. And I was in a webinar yesterday with all the owners of the BHG, Better Homes and Gardens franchises around the country. And the head marketing guy for all of Better Homes and Gardens is working on this as well, for positioning Better Homes and Gardens and the value that we provide as a real estate company. So I think we'll see more of that type of marketing coming down the pike from real estate companies rather than just, we're number one in the marketplace or anything, those kind of statements. The public doesn't really care if we're number one in the marketplace. They want to know that they can trust us. They want to know, like, and trust us, and that we spark joy for them. Yeah.
Garrett, how much do you think both sellers and buyers look to the company reputation as opposed to an individual agent? I mean, how much do you think that the company identity matters, kind of percentage-wise?
I think it does matter. I mean, this group did another survey about how many realtors, real estate agents do you know? They asked this group of 1,000. That was and the average was per person 6.8 agents. So for a couple, that's 13 agents. The couple may know. So let's just call it 10. If any individual knows 10 different real estate agents, the company values and the company brand may have, some impact on that. But I always think it's going to be you as an agent interfacing with your clients.
Yeah.
It's you're the rubber where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, it sure feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, right. It's more like the road than the rubber sometimes.
Right, yeah, something like that, or between.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's different in commercial real estate? Because I know there's a lot that's different with commercial real estate, and I don't know that much about it.
Right. Yeah, again, I think probably the branding is less important in commercial real estate. what I've found when I was doing commercial real estate is, it's much more, just get the job done,
Yeah.
It's more black and white, get the lease right and all, those things. It's much more of a business transaction, whereas the residential transaction is both a business and an emotional experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I'll have next week, my new, I mentioned this yesterday in the Santa Rosa sales meeting, but I've created this new Gary's vision of how the real estate business works. And I'm working with Roger Savvy to put it into a PowerPoint presentation, and I'll have that for everyone next week, and we'll kind of share that. And I think it could be a tool to show people, okay, this is all we do a lot here, more than just kind of sign the papers and put up a sign. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think the other thing with what you're saying about that is that it really shows people how many folks are involved in the process
Right,
that are supporting them and
right.
supporting what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah,
Exactly, right.
great, wonderful.
Okay, that's pretty much what I have this week.
Chris had a question. that
Oh,
he
yeah,
put in
sure.
the chat.
Garrett, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Garrett, one of my biggest concerns is how we present this to a, seller when you make the presentation. The fact that a lot of agents, if you don't have a co-compensation to the buying agent, you get on the, terms of antitrust and all those other issues. What you, in your statements to the seller, is that something Bill and Haley are going to cover?
Bill and Shannon on
Hey, Bill
Monday.
and Shannon, yeah.
Yeah. And do sign up for
I did.
that's on April 1st. I don't know, they're going to be covering the buyer representation agreement, so I don't know that they will cover the seller, how we dialogue with the seller, but they have recently, their practice tip, I think, a couple of weeks ago was dealing with a seller, and their recommendation was that we bifurcate our conversation with the seller into two conversations. And one is our value as a listing agent. So we say, okay, this is what I do when I list a property. This are the services I provide to you as a listing agent, and my fee is 3%, and that's that's the fee that we found is fair over the years for the 100 hours of work I'm going to put into this property. So and so you reach agreement on the fee for just the listing side. Okay, that's your worth as a listing agent. Then you go into step number 2 is, okay, let's discuss how to market this property, how you want to best market this property to the buyers. So there's several ways you could do that and the traditional way has been that the seller offer within the price of the property a cooperating agent commission to the buyer's agent. And that way you get exposure to the most buyers because the buyers are going to be coming with their agents, and the agents, they know they won't have to come out of their pocket to pay their own agent, that the compensation will come out of the proceeds of the sale. Now,
But that's where the catch-22 is, isn't it? Because on another meeting that we had previously, you can't say the norm is 2.5% because you said that's the antitrust.
no,
But
I wouldn't say the norm. What I'm saying is it's traditional that the seller offer compensation to the buyer's agent. And then you talk about what compensation, and that would vary from transaction to transaction. So I think it's fair, you could say that that it's typically been equal to the amount that you've agreed to pay the listing agent. So if you've agreed on a 3% commission for the listing agent, then the 3% commission to the buyer's agent would be typical.
Okay.
It's-
The question, has the company come up with a way that we're going to handle communicating commissions to the selling agents?
Yes. In the meantime, we're going to continue to use the portal that's in the MLS through the
Correct.
CSO. So until they change it where we can't put the CSO in there, which could be in the month, could be in 2 months, at the latest, probably July. Then we're going to have a new way of communicating it, and
Okay.
that is not clear yet.
Okay. And then the last couple real quick, and this is just a gut level check on yours. How many do you think of the sellers are going to think I'm going to make more money because I only have to pay my agent? And two, do you have a gut? I think that, the fallout's going to be 10% or possibly a little more. Agents that just don't want to handle this,
Yeah, indications through many folks are that we will see agents leave the business because they don't want to adopt to this, or they don't have the skill set, that they don't have the value set to prove their own value to a client. Yeah, that's probably likely. We will see a decline in the number of agents across the country. I think sellers, we've always had the FSBOs, sellers who think they can make more money selling it themselves, who don't value us as real estate people. So I don't think that number will change so much. I think by that little survey that I put up there are folks who are going to say, well, I expect to get this cheaper. I'm going to explore other ways to get this, get my property sold, and maybe it could be at a cheaper amount. So I think they'll explore that. But this is a challenging business, and it's a complex business, and I don't think the good agents are going to discount their worth all that much, moving forward. I think our kind of revenue models are going to stay pretty typically.
Yeah, but it was strange that it was your significant other that you mentioned that one of her first listing appointments was kind of based on that, that
Yes.
salary.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think after she had the conversation with them, they agreed that it was probably better to offer a fee to a cooperating agent and adjust their price accordingly.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. I was going to show you the one thing, the commission agreement, see if I can find that. Here it is. Okay. Oops, that wasn't it. Lease rental commission agreement. Okay. I can't show that to you because it's, let me carry that over to next week, Sharon. It was the lease rental commission agreement form, and I'll carry that over to next week. Okay, any other questions? All righty, well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you all down the road. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.